oral literature session, which is going to be discussed in our class today. Okay, so we are going we go we are going to discuss the explanation of an oral artist. In this PowerPoint, we're going to discuss who is an oral artist, what are the features of an oral artist, what is the role of an oral artist, and what are the artistic skills, what does the artistic skills develop, and what is required for a good oral artist. So we're going to start with the definition of oral literature. Okay, they say wisdom is not restricted to the aged. Oral literature is the art of work that is passed down from one generation to another. An oral artist, so does the oral artist pass down the information on how an oral artist is communal and reflects the values and the historical development of community through narratives. Definition of an oral artist. An oral artist is a person who intends to narrate a story, approaches the moment often only using sketches of the plot. Writers analyze the method of style of oral narrative with spontaneous circumstances, discusses the social meaning and the vision of oral narratives within the community in which they are told. They use community and the narrative to account the storytelling. Features of an oral artist. Writers say oral artists have lumped together as if they are not creations of certain societies. It is a belief that oral artists should be studied under a general bracket group, hence consists the following features. Oral artists in communities have a certain features of communalism. The oral artist is communally oriented society, sides with helpless, socially deprived members, and upholds the values held by the majority people. Hence, a true artist. Oral artists have a unique style. The next topic we're going to discuss is the role of an oral artist. An oral artist is 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 treated as the memory of mankind, whereby without the oral artist, the names of kings can vanish into oblivion. Artists keep the memory by spoken words. They also bring the live deeds and exhibits the younger generation. The oral artists tended to reflect different social values of different periods of history since the development have been homogeneous. The oral artist also operates in a society dominated by kings, priests, and will, most likely created by literature that support rulers and reflects the ideology of the ruling class. So the oral artist brings out the ideology of the ruling class. So that can be a role of the oral artist. Oral artists also try as much as possible to narrate their stories without changing them, but also recognizes the changes that have taken place in a certain community. What are the artistic skills and what they develop? The artistic skills include the question of memory, organization, creation, and understanding of the audience. The skill involves remembering certain plots, topics, and core cliches and presenting them consistently with their narratives. A good artist uses his skill to develop and embroider the skeleton of the available plot with subsidiary details, style of delivery, gestures, mimicry, and use of dramatic repetition. He or she presents character, variation of tone and speed, vocabulary, vehemence, and drama, all niche in the to an artistic whole. So these are the skills above which the skills which I've listed above are the one developed during an oral narration period. Requirements of a good artist. Requirements: a good artist must use a detailed and minute description, events, and situations, strengthening the artist. The artist should create a realistic scene. One should use repetition to create emphasis. And also when you're using repetition to create emphasis, the greatness of it or the greatness of the artist lies in the way one uses this device, which is repetition, to make narratives picturized. One also should ask rhetorical questions and make the audience fill gaps in his or her story. Another requirement is characterization. Characterization is also a powerful aspect. It describes and gives character traits to things or people. One must also ensure the flow of the narrative by commenting on the story as little as possible. This aids in the clarity and completion of the presentation, hence, no need for the audience to ask clarification. The participation of the audience is more silent and emotional than verbal. The artist can be dependent whereby he or she involves the audience by asking things to be made clearer or by offering comments. Mhm. The next bit of what you're going to learn today is the importance of studying oral literature. Number one, it allows the learner to understand themselves, their roots, and their history. Role number two is it facilitates nation building. Number three, it helps in the preservation of history, whereby one is able to learn about his culture. It also allows the learner to appreciate the aesthetics or beauty, the diversity, the regenerativity, and the versatility of literature. It's also a powerful medium for social education, societal customs, beliefs, and values. Another role of studying oral literature is it helps to, to right and the wrongs brought by cultural erosion. The last role is it does perpetuate positive values that are at risk of erosion. Why learn oral literature in school and not at home? So that we can have uniformity in our syllabus. Language barriers may arise, especially with urbanized students, so it must be learned in school. Evaluation will be difficult as elders do not give notes or on written exams. Some urban students may not want to go to rural areas due to generation gap and cultural shock. Candidates also may opt for genres that they think are easier and more interesting, like songs. It may be costly to entice elders to perform without pay. And the last reason is not any students will be able to access the elders. And that's the end of our lesson. Thank you.